Get me out of here! We gotta get out of here!
Alex!
Help!
Hi everyone, so this is possibly, if I carry this on, it's going to be my journey through a massive unhaul, and a lot of it is going to be taking place in the loft up there. So here we go. This is my main bookshelf, by the way, before I get to the loft. So the top row there has got tons and tons of J.G. Ballard there, and it's double breasted, so there's loads behind it, and there's loads of other things that I either treasure loads or that I've not read yet, but there's quite a bit of here that I have read, but there's the ones behind I don't think I've read. There's about 12 Stephen King books behind that shelf I haven't read. So, you know, this is those books at the front are blocking the cartoonist stuff, and then you've got like, I've got sort of boxes there of vintage science fiction paperbacks. There's a whole load of other stuff. There's a chest there which is like my all-time favourite books, and so this is you know, the kind of first division of my books before I get into the loft. So there we go. Okay, so now I'm in the loft, and I'm out of breath, and there's a bunch of loose books as well as a whole load of boxes as well, which I'm going to go through. I'm going to figure out what I can get rid of. So some of this stuff I haven't read, some of it stuff I just want to keep, but I'm just going to go through it. Right directly in front of me is two stacks that are right next to the door of the loft, so I'll just look at those quickly and see if there's anything in there I don't have to keep. We'll start with that. So some of these I've only just bought. I've never read a Garbaugust book, so I bought that, but that's like number 9 in the series or something. I don't know. I don't know whether I should be reading that first, so I don't know if that's a silly thing to keep. Thieves' World is definitely something I want to keep. The Roger Lesnasny, Doors of His Face, Lamp of His Mouth. There's Philip K. Dick books, Neil Gaiman. I can't really want to get rid of those. Haven't read the Michael Chabon book, but I've heard a lot about it. Axiom's End, again I haven't read that. Sea of Rust is one of my favourite books, definitely keeping that. There's my copy of Ubik. Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, I haven't read that yet, it's supposed to be really good. Babylon 5 books. It's hard, isn't it? Hard to get rid of these things. History of the Devil's a really good book. I was going to do a video on that one at some point. Play a Piano. It's a book about the good old, the music hall. I'll probably get rid of that once I've read it, but I haven't read that. One of my history books. There's a few history books there. People's Tragedy. That's an absolute classic book on the Russian Revolution. Scramble for Africa. That is an awesome book about the Peasants' Revolt, edited by R.B. Dobson. Okay, there's a few piles here I'm going to quickly go through. Bury My Heart, Wounded Knee, I'm going to keep that. Say It Loud, so Marxism and the Fight Against Racism, I'm going to be keeping that. The Star Trek novel, I'll keep that because I haven't read that. One of my favourite music books, Complicated Game, don't know if you can see that real well, the lighting's terrible. So that's inside the Songs of XTC. I'm keeping that. I'll tell you what, I will get rid of this because we have had to remove this poster. It was not very good, and it's not going to make a massive dent in the room in this place, but it wasn't very good. The Circus of Dr. Lau, I'm probably going to keep that. Performing Ethnomusicology, I am definitely going to keep that. I'm hoping to do an MA one day in musicology, so I definitely need to keep that. All Systems Red, Michael Wells, I keep that. Gorillas in the Mist, I'll keep this. Dorian Gray, I'll keep that in my attic. Curse of the Full Moon, yep, keep that. Battlestar Suburbia. I don't know. I nearly got rid of this a few times. I'm just going to get rid of it. I don't know anything about it. That is one of the best anthologies I've ever read. Brave New Worlds. Definitely going to keep this. Really love that book. The World for World is Forest. Ursula Le Guin. I will keep keeping that. I won't be getting rid of any of the books I've got of hers. Manly Folded himself. Really love that book. So I'm keeping that. Italian cartoonist book. Lupo Alberto, and a Spanish Snoopy book, Peanuts book. So yeah, I have to keep them. John Steinbeck writing about King Arthur. How bizarre. British Marxist historians. That is what I did my dissertation on. So I do need to keep that. No Longer Human. I think Pax reviewed that. But I haven't seen a lot of reviews on this, but I was actually motivated to buy this because of Books and Bow, that channel. Eat Shoots and Leaves. I've got rid of this and bought this over and over again, so I might as well keep it because I keep getting it again anyway. Mind of My Mind, Octavia Butler, I'll keep that. A book about blasphemy. Very short one, so I might as well keep it. Crime and Punishment, mostly in the 16th and 17th centuries, I think. Stranger, I really like that book, Stranger River from Tokyo. I'll keep that. Gene Wolfe, Shadow of the Torturer. Tomorrow's Children, Turning Wheel. This is another figure. These are all books I need to keep. John Steinbeck. See, I want to keep these John Steinbeck books as well. I'm not doing very well at getting rid of books here. So that's one of 3 areas where I've got Stephen King books. So there's 2 boxes and another area downstairs of Stephen King stuff. So I won't be getting rid of those. There's some more here that I'm not going to get rid of. So I'm not going to get rid of Cold Storage by David Cope. I haven't read that yet, but it could be good. And Franz Kafka's Essential Kafka, more A.V. Van Voigt. Bukowski's Pleasures of Dams, that's a poetry collection. Neil Gaiman's Ocean at the End of the Lane. Roald Dahl book there. Starship Troopers, Spike Jonze biography, which was really cool finding that when I was in LA. Yeah, so I've got these 3 Aftermath books. So the whole trilogy there by Chuck Wendig, which these are supposed to be really good, but I haven't read them yet. So I need to get on and read these because there's obviously a trilogy I don't necessarily need to keep. So I should unhaul it, but I can't unhaul it yet because I haven't read them. So a few books I'm definitely not getting rid of. So Stories of English, David Crystal. There's the Cowboys and Indians book about the independent record industry. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, obviously really important piece of work. Journal of the Plague Year, Dan Defoe. War Without End, this is a really interesting set of articles and essays, and all by journalists and interesting people, so that's going to be good to read. But again, don't want to get rid of it. I bought this one quite recently, The Autobiography of Mark Twain, edited by Charles Nader. So that's something that I haven't read yet because I've only just got it. That's actually one I bought for Garbaugust. So do I keep that or do I read it? I don't know, I literally just bought it for Garbaugust. It was only £1 or something. I don't know whether to keep that or not. There's pretty much more books I'm not getting rid of. So there's Dance Macabre there, which is one of my favourite Stephen King books. Dreamcatcher I haven't read yet, which is the one just at the top there. Stars Now Unclaimed is another favourite of mine. There's an A.J.P. Taylor history book which I could get rid of, to be fair. So I'll probably get rid of that. Gateway I still haven't read yet. Psychology of Time Travel I haven't read yet. Dietland I haven't read yet. I've just added the second and third books of the Broken Earth trilogy into that box because they were loose, so I won't be getting rid of those either. I haven't really taken in much out of that book box. It's got loads of Dresden Files books in there. It's got Little Fuzzy, it's got some Stephen King, it's got some Chronicles of St. Mary's, stuff in there that I don't really want to get rid of, so, and a few anthologies I like as well. So yeah, not a lot out of that box. There's Wheels on Fire by Levon Helm. Probably my favourite music biography. Not getting rid of that. This was when I bought this and then didn't realise it wasn't the first one in the series. So I have to get the others. But apparently they're really good. A book that taught me a lot when I first started doing philosophy. And I love Bertrand Russell's books. So I'm not getting rid of that. It's a really nice history of philosophy. Confederacy of Dunces. Not going to get rid of that, but don't know what it's like. But I've had it a while. Need to read it. It's seen as an American classic. I've got all of the Wayfarer series here, so I won't be getting rid of those. George Orwell's coming up for air. Meddling Kids, that's a good book, that. Edgar Cantero. Michael Moorcock's Eric of Melnebony. 100 great science fiction short stories. I tell you what though, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to read this, so this is going to go. The Dwarves. Have you read this? Is this any good? I think it's going to go. It's a box that's got Stephen King, what's Claire North, and Neil Gaiman and Blake Crouch. I don't think there's going to be much I can get rid of there. It's got my colour purple as well there, which is, there it is. Love that cover. So there is a pile that was downstairs in my cartoonist collection here. So you've got the Bloom County Babylon, the Burke Breathed books here. So you got that one, Billy and the Boingers bootleg. See, this is cartoon advertising. Again, that was bought for the collection. I don't think I need it anymore. Am I gonna strip down my collection of cartoonist stuff? I think I might have to. Fred the Clown. Where's Bin Laden? I don't need that, but it's funny. Where's Bin Laden? I'm gonna get rid of that, but it is funny. It's like Where's Wally, right? Alan Moore, Small Killing. I don't think I want that anymore. Matt Groening's books. Childhood is Hell, Love is Hell, School is Hell. These are all part of that cartoonist collection that I've got. So I might have to thin those out a little bit. So this box has got my copy of the Bible, and there's lots of historical books there. The War on Heresy, Hooray for the Black Church is a really good book about the BUF and Mosley's popularity. There's a big book on Groucho. There's books by Christopher Hill and E.P. Thompson and Hobsbawm and that lot, and Plato down the end there. So yeah, I'll see what I can get out of that, but I'm probably going to keep a lot of those. Box of Mad books, so I won't be getting rid of any of those, but that's 40 odd books in there. So difficult to get rid of something like that, because obviously you either get rid of all of them or you get rid of none of them. So Ian M. Banks, some Song of Ice and Fire, Blade Runner sequels. It's got a selection of stuff that really I don't want to get rid of. Grapes of Wrath's in there. So yeah, difficult to find stuff to get rid of in that one. A little delve into my loft and a little sneak into the decision making process, where a lot of the ones I looked at I wasn't going to get rid of, but there was a few that I did. What I'm going to do now is just really quickly, in rapid fire movement, I'm going to go through the books most of the books I am going to Unhaul. I'm not going to go through all of them. I've picked out about 120, 130 books, something like that. So, really quick reasons why. And make a comment if you think they're valid reasons, or if you go, no, don't get rid of that. Here we go. John Wyndham, Kraken Wakes. I have 2 copies of this, exactly the same copies as well. Maybe I have 3 actually, because I think there's a third battered one I need to find. But anyway, don't need 2 copies of the same thing. It's a brilliant book, but I don't need to have it. Book on Barcelona. I like these timeout guides, and if I do go to Barcelona, I'm going to get a more up-to-date one. So this is quite a way old. Terry Jones, Nicobenus. Nicobobinus. There he is there, look. Terry Jones. But I don't know. If I'm getting rid of stuff, try and be brutal. Don't really have a connection. So get rid of it. I've had it ages. This wasn't good. We had to remove this post. It was okay, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping it to be. It's quite new actually, and it's it's as new condition because it's quite short. I just read it, and I've kept it in good condition, but didn't rate it that highly. So there we go. Get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of. I've tried to weed into my cartoonist collection because I've got loads and loads of cartoonist books, and some I'm not that attached to. So I'm going to get rid of a couple of Steve Bell books. Well, 3 I think Steve Bell books. So he was a really important cartoonist during the Thatcherite years, especially, and John Major years. British cartoonist. I'm just not going to be as connected to these books anymore. I bought this for Garbaugust. Haven't read it. And I don't know, I just don't feel like, if I'm going to try and be brutal, I don't think I'm going to read it. So there we go. I bought it for Garbaugust. I might still read it. No, I'm not going to read it if I'm going to unhaul it. Oh well. Somewhere in this lot I've got all 3 Hunger Games books. Haven't read them. I probably will read them, but again, if I'm trying to be brutal, I'll try and buy them again cheaply when I'm about to read them, rather than having them in the loft forever and ever. Swallowed Man, I bought that new, still really kind of new condition. I've only had it a few months. It was okay. It's like a retelling of Geppetto's story, and yeah, it's all right. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be, but yeah, it's been well reviewed. Lenny Bruce, I've got a few Lenny Bruce related books that I'm not going to get rid of. I am going to get rid of because I don't really feel attached to them, but they're interesting. That is more, I'm getting rid of this more because of the amount of room it takes. I'll probably find a smaller paperback version of The Age of Capital because I do try and keep my Eric Hobsbawm books. He is probably my favourite historian. Out of all historians I studied, Eric Hobsbawm's probably my favourite one. I've got 2 of these, so there's a bunch of duplicate books that I'm getting rid of, so I don't need to keep that. But I am going to reread the Belgariad next year, so I'm looking forward to that. But I have got other copies of those. I've got 2 copies of The Unbearable Lightness of Being, so that was an important book for me in my early years, and I will read that again at some point, but I've got 2 copies, don't need it. I've also got 2 copies of Wisdom of Shannara as well, so I don't need to keep that. I really didn't like this, so again, this is pretty much new condition. Bought this new, didn't like it. I did a review of it actually on the channel, but it's one of the very rare negative reviews I do because I try not to be negative on the channel. Didn't like it. Bought this because it's Dennis Potter. I don't really think, honestly, I'm going to read it, so I'm getting rid of it. This is annoying because this was really expensive. It is really good. I tried to sell it, and I couldn't sell it, and I'm just going to give it away or sell it really cheaply to a second-hand shop, and basically it's just a shame because it's really good condition still. It cost me about 30 quid when I first bought it, but it takes up a lot of room. I don't really need it anymore. It's just annoying that I spent so much money on it, but it did its job, So that was I basically used this. I'll just let you see it. Perry Anderson's book on the political spectrum and the philosophical spectrum as well, more importantly, and I used that for my dissertation. Again, I've got 2 copies of Neverwhere, and I don't like these covers. I've got a bunch of these books. I've got Anansi Boys, I've got American Gods, I've got Fragile Things, Smoke and Mirrors, loads and loads of books with this design. And I found a copy of Neverwhere that didn't have this design, so I'm keeping that and getting rid of this. So this is pretty much new condition again, but I'm getting rid of it. Some more history books. These are German history books. So this is Understanding Contemporary Germany by Stuart Parker. God, it's terrible font. You can't even see it very well. And this is like an access to A-level kind of like A-level level textbook by Jeff Layton about the Third Reich. A.J.B. Taylor, The Course of German History. So he was useful for older historical perspectives when I did my degree. So it was very much, when we did the German unit, it was very much kind of look at more contemporary historians, because he's a bit had the sort of more of an old-fashioned way of looking at history. I don't really need a big omnibus edition of Lord of the Rings. I got this for Sean's Desert Island Books, and I don't need to have this. I've got the 3 separate books in separate volumes, and I prefer it like that, to be honest. So I'm getting rid of this. Severance. I got rid of a different copy of Severance last time I did a massive book unhaul, but I'm getting rid of it. This version as well. I don't think I'm going to reread it. I found it disappointing, but loads of people love it. So someone will find that and appreciate it. This is another duplicate book, and another Lenny Bruce one that I'm going to get rid of. Hemingway's Old Man in the Sea. I don't think I'm going to reread that. It was hard work. There's a whole variety of stuff here. There's the sketches from Absolutely, which is a brilliant Scottish sketch show that appeared on Channel 4 for a number of years in the 90s. Absolutely loved it. These are sketches, but I don't really need to keep it. So it's going. Some more books that are based around my degree, Distant Marxism. I used this for my dissertation because it was about Marxist historians. So I was looking into Marxism as a political thought, and this was quite a good way of looking at different Marxist voices and then comparing them to the historians. But I don't need it anymore. This is such a fantastic cover, isn't it? Such an amazing cover. I've resisted unhauling this a number of times, but I'm trying to be brutal. The European Dictatorships by Stephen J. Lee. It's a really good Routledge book, but that is such an amazing cover. It's one of my favourite book covers, to be fair. But there we are. It's got to go. Year Zero. Didn't like this book. Found it one of those books that tried to be funny and wasn't funny. So getting rid of that. Again, pretty much new condition. So I do look after my books. It's got to be said. This is one of the biggest disappointments. So again, I've kept this in case I wanted to use it in a tag video about books I didn't like, but it's a stupid reason to keep it. It's a big old hardback, so it'll leave some room, and it's just one of those books that just is nowhere near as funny as Valente thinks it is, and it's one of those books that just completely lost the point that humour is all about timing, and it would spend like 2 lines saying a joke that should have been like 8 words, and it should have been, like, bang, joke, and all the jokes were lost because it was so convoluted and said in a poncy way. This is another textbooky book that I've always liked having, but again, I'm trying to be brutal. So, Movements in Art since 1945. is gone. This is one that I won't do all of these. I'll finish in a minute. This is one that I've actually got a review coming up on the channel, and it was quite good. It was all right. I can't remember what I said in the review, but it was very much out of my comfort zone. It's about a piano tuner, but it's quite beautifully written. And I've talked about that before. Talked about that. There's Tony Benn quotes, speeches that I'm not going to keep. A massive omnibus of Hitchhikers, which again I bought for the Desert Island Books. Don't need to keep that anymore. Some things I've already mentioned when I was up in the loft. That's another duplicate. It's a really good book, by the way, but I think I found it for £1 and thought I'd get it and give to someone, but I haven't done that yet. So I might keep it just to give to someone, because it is a good book. I really enjoyed it. This was a really good book, Dark Valley, a panorama of the 1930s. If you are interested in history, the 1930s were so dramatic and bizarre, where Europe decided to go really right-wing. And that is a really good book on that. But it's going. I'm getting rid of it. This was another duplicate book. I'm getting rid of that. I haven't read it, but I don't really think I'm going to read it. So, I don't know, I might read it one day, but I'm not going to read it soon, so I'm getting rid of that as well. There's a bunch of others that I don't want this to be a really stupidly long video, but you get the idea. So that's a whole bunch of books that I'm getting rid of. So that's left me some more room. Well, I say it's left me some more room. The whole point is it's taking up too much room, so I'm not going to replace them, although maybe in time I will anyway. But back in February, I got rid of about 250 books, and then a couple of times since then, once in August and once in July, I got rid of about 30 books. So, you know, this is not quite as much as I was hoping for, but actually, if you combine all of those different unhauls, I have got rid of quite a lot. So I'm very self-aware of how many books I've got, and I'm doing my best. So anyway, some of those I might end up reading, I might end up getting them again, but there's a lot there that I'm not going to read. So there's a lot of rationale that makes a lot of sense. But anyway, let me know what you thought of that entire process, and I will do another book haul soon when I get another load of books. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and see you later. Bye.
Paint me a picture